Amidst of the Black Lives Matter movement, some might say there has been an awakening in the corporate world. Businesses coming forward, willing to do their part to end the stigma and offer more opportunities to members of the Black community, the Indigenous and marginalized communities. But are they doing enough? Well, joining me now is Agapi Gessesse, Executive Director of the CEE Center for Young Black Professionals. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get your thoughts now. Are businesses on the right track? We're hearing more about this. We're hearing businesses putting forward statements and whatnot. But what are your thoughts?
I think we're definitely in the right direction. I think that corporate Canada, even for our organization here at CEE, we realize that people are really starting to step up. And I think that people want to do better. I think they really just don't know how. And I think that we are on the right track. I often say in the midst of all of this that when we know better, we do better. And I think this has allowed a heightened awareness.
You mentioned there we don't know how, or perhaps they don't know how, maybe is how I want to phrase it here. So what can corporations do then to invest in anti-discriminatory, anti-racist causes in a meaningful way where we're actually saying this is not part of I'm jumping on the bandwagon because everyone's calling for it. This is, hey, 2 or 3 or 4, maybe just a year from now, we said, back a year ago, this is the way things were, but this is the way things are now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It needs to be something that is sustainable. So a lot of corporations are coming out, they're making donations, which is amazing. But one of the things that I really encourage corporate Canada to do is make sure that those budget line items are there, 5 years down the line and moving forward so that you're still contributing to these organizations. And I also think that corporate Canada underestimates the power that they have to create real change in our society. And I think corporate Canada really needs to, number one, look internally. Diversity and inclusion, for some reason over time, has diluted down to, check boxes and saying, okay, there's a woman, check, there's a person of color. And I think it's really about looking at where are you reaching out to these diverse communities? How are you recruiting and finding folks? In Canada, we don't have much race-based data, but we see in America, Black women are one of the most educated populations in the country. And so how are you taking advantage of that type of talent that's within these diverse communities? And the last thing that I'm going to say around that is I really think it's important that we start to change the narrative. It's not that we're doing a favor to these communities by creating equity.
You said it right there, Agapi.
Yeah, it actually affects your bottom line. I think Forbes put out some research, and it said 19% that organizations that hire diverse populations actually have 19% more profit due to innovation. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I want to talk to you a year from now, and I'm hoping that our conversation is very, very different, and we're not looking at what has been decades and decades and decades of barriers and stigmas. It's going to take decades and decades and decades for us to actually see that change, that a year from now, you and I can say, hey, we were talking about this, and this is really where we're at right now. Really quickly, your last word on this. Are you feeling that confident that it's not going to be decades, but we're talking a matter of a year or two here?
I often say this generation is not interested in continuing to fight the same fight that our elders have. We're looking to move forward. We are, been able to take the advantage of opportunities that this country has been able to provide us with. We're smarter, we're more innovative, we're able to really think forwardly, and we're going to be taking up space. I don't think that this generation is going to allow to this moment to pass.
And that is extremely enlightening to hear. It is. All right, Agapi Gessesse, Executive Director of Careers Education Empowerment Center for Black Professionals. Great chatting with you. I promise you we'll talk about this a year from now.
Okay, I'll talk to you then.
Okay.